so good to see you guys again. Okay, this is part 2 of how to be the boss of your thoughts. And last time in part 1, we learned how many thoughts we think in a day, 60 to 60,000, and 95% of those are thoughts you've already thought before. And that we also learned that even though you can't control what thoughts pop into your head, you can control what you do with them. That's really powerful, that knowledge there. And we also learned some thought labeling techniques to help you deal with the thoughts that pop into your head. So that's controlling what you do with them. You learn some great things what to do with those. We learned thinking. We learned past, present, future. We learned labeling each thought with a feeling word. And we also learned how to specifically label those thoughts. In this part of the lesson, we are going to learn how to use our strong imagination to control the thoughts that pop into our head. But first, let's do a moment of mindfulness. So to do this, we're going to be taking 3 breaths, but as we take these breaths, we're going to say it silently inside our head, breathing in and breathing out. We're going to say it silently in our head and try and make your words last the length of your slow, deep breath. So breathing in, breathing out. Okay, we're going to do that 3 times. Put your thumbs up if you're ready to start. Good. Okay, ready? Breathing in, breathing out. Try breathing in through your nose. Breathing in and out through your mouth. Breathing out. Last one. Good job, you guys. That's good to practice if you're starting to feel frustrated or worried or anything like that. Love mindfulness. Anyway, so now we're going to learn some thought imagining techniques. And to do this, we're going to imagine each thought that pops into our heads turning into something good and floating away. One student I worked with imagined the thoughts that popped into his head turning into flying unicorns with blue wings that gently flew up into the clouds. Someone else imagined beautiful, colorful birds with each thought, and other butterflies, or you could imagine a helium balloon, like even tying a thought to a helium balloon and having it float up into the air and watching it go up. You could even use sun rays, rainbow bubbles, so many different images to choose from. So think for a moment, what is something that would give you a good feeling that you could imagine each thought turning into? So remember, don't choose one that will give you a bad feeling, because that just kind of gives you a bad feeling with each thought. We want to stick to the good feelings. We want to have more good feelings in our body. So whatever thing you can imagine that will give you a good thought when you imagine it. So take a moment to decide what you want the thoughts turn into as they leave your head. Anything that will give you a good feeling. So think for a moment and put your hand on your heart when you've decided what image you want to use to have your thoughts turn into. And you can change it if you don't like it. You can change it halfway through. Don't worry about it. Just choose one to start with, okay? Okay, good. Okay, so we're going to practice this. So each time you have a thought that pops into your head, you will imagine it gently floating out of your head. And then you'll wait for the next thought and do the same thing. So don't think that thought. Just notice it, have it float out of your head, and wait for the next thought. We're going to be doing this for 40 seconds. So ready? Put your thumbs up when you're ready, actually. Okay, good. Okay, and go. If you got stuck to a thought, just let it go. And just imagine the next thought that pops into your head floating out. Again, if you got stuck to a thought, let it go. And keep imagining the thoughts floating out of your head. Good. good job. And notice, like, what kind of a feeling did you get? And what you imagined, did that work for you, or do you want to choose something else next time? Remember, anything that gives you a good feeling, that's super important. Okay, so here's another one, a super, super simple one. And we're not going to practice this one. You can practice it later, but just with each inhale and each thought that pops into our head, we're going to imagine breathing it out. And if another thought pops in your head, just take a deep breath and imagine blowing that thought out. And you can keep on doing that. So that's like thought exhaling, I guess. All right? Good. So now I'm going to teach you the most powerful technique to help with super sticky thoughts. I call it thought swap. I didn't make it up, but I just call it thought swap. It's a little easier. Let's see. This can help. Sometimes people use it with anxiety thoughts, worry thoughts. When we keep feeling bad about ourselves, we can use it with those thoughts too, like any of the super sticky thoughts. But again, sometimes those thoughts are too sticky and too powerful, and even this one won't work at the moment. Don't worry, just keep trying it, and then soon you'll get stronger using it, and it'll even help with those super powerful ones, okay? So don't give up. If it doesn't work, that just means we just need to keep more practicing, okay? Okay, so to learn this thought swap technique, when a thought pops into your head that you don't want, you'll count backwards silently in your head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you'll swap the thought that you don't want with a thought that makes you feel good every time you think of it. Why we do counting is like a strong brain activity that forces your brain electricity away from that part of your brain that's thinking that bad thought into the logical part of our brain, the counting part. So it just momentarily distracts us from the thought. But since those thoughts are sticky, our mind is going to want to go back to it after we finish counting. So we're going to swap it with a good thought, a thought that is powerful and sticky for a good reason. So to start with, first, it's important to come up with a thought that makes you feel good each time you think it. It can be a memory, something good that's happened. It can be something you imagine, like maybe you have this beautiful imaginary world, or maybe it's like that driving in a Lamborghini when you get older, or something that just makes you feel good, or maybe having a house filled with a zillion animals or whatever. Anyway, but this is going to make you feel good each time you imagine it. A lot of kids I've talked with, they use like sitting on the couch with their family, like watching a movie. That gives them a good feeling every time they think about it. Or eating a meal with their family. A holiday, snuggling with a pet, a day at a special place like the beach or Disneyland. It could be anything. So again, that could be a memory, or you can use your imagination and imagine flying on the back of a talking unicorn, or being inside your favorite movie, or even imagining a time when you're all grown up. So whatever thing makes you feel good when you think it. And we're going to use all of our mind power to really think that and imagine that as if we were really there, as if it was really happening. So think about all your senses, like the sounds, the smells, tastes, if you're eating dinner. Maybe if you're outside, the feeling of sunshine on your face. But imagine it as if you were really there. That way your mind thinks it's more real, the more clearly you imagine something, okay? And then we're going to imagine it for 11 seconds, but we'll go into that later. So first, take a moment and think about a memory or something that you imagine that would make you feel really good each time you think of it or each time you imagine it. Put your hand on your heart when you've thought of that image that will make you feel good each time. Good. Okay, now to make this image stronger, We're going to imagine it for 11 seconds. When you think of something for 11 seconds or more, your mind thinks it's important, so it'll remember it more. And remember it as realistically as possible, as if you were really there. Use all your senses. So we're going to be counting on our fingers up to 11 while we're imagining it, just so we make sure we do it for 11 seconds. And while we're doing this, you can either look down or close your eyes. That helps you imagine things more clearly, so you're focused more on what you're imagining in your head. Okay, you guys ready? Put your thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, good. Okay, so ready, and start imagining that special image, and go. Good. Okay, we're going to practice again because we want this image to be really strong. But this time, as we imagine it as clearly as possible, we're also going to be thinking about the good feeling it's giving us. So when we imagine something good or think about something good, it gives us a good feeling in our body. Some people feel it in their heads. Some people feel it in their chests. So as you're imagining it, see where you're feeling that good feeling and kind of put a little bit of your attention just on that good feeling. That's important to do. Okay, so ready? Put your thumbs up if you're ready. Start again. Okay, good. Okay, and go. See where you're feeling the good feeling in your body as you imagine it. Good. Okay, so point to the part of your body that felt that good feeling more. Was it your head or your heart, your chest? Okay, point. Good. Yeah, some people feel it in their heads, other people in their chests. I feel it more in my chest, my heart area. Sometimes I feel it in my head too, so it can change. Good. Okay, so we're going to imagine now that a thought that makes you feel bad has just popped into your head, and then we're going to practice this technique. Okay, so when a thought pops into your head that you don't want, it could be any time during the day or night, remember you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That changes the brain electricity to the front part. And then after we say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're going to start thinking of that good thought as closely as imagining it and feel that good feeling in our body. And we're going to practice this a couple times. Ready? Okay. And a bad thought just popped into your head. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Start thinking of your thought, that good image. Good. Okay, but thoughts, as they do, will keep popping into your head. So here comes that bad thought again. Ready, and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and think of the good image. Great job, you guys. Okay, so after you've practiced this for a couple weeks, you won't need to do the whole 11 seconds because your body will be used to feeling good and going into that image, but do 11 seconds until it's really set. But later, you don't even have to count for 11, but maybe after a couple weeks. So remember, this technique sometimes won't work with the super, super sticky thoughts or, the ones that just give you that huge wave of emotion. So that's okay. That just means practice more with the less sticky ones, the less hard ones, and then you'll get stronger and stronger. And then even eventually it will help with the really hard thoughts. So remember, practice a lot, just like the other ones. And remember, it's like building a muscle in your brain. Practice and practice. Our muscle doesn't immediately get big, but each time we do it, it gets a little bigger and a little bigger. And pretty soon you'll have really strong muscles in your brain for dealing with these these difficult thoughts that make us feel bad. So, you guys have learned a bunch of ways to deal with thoughts that just pop into your head that you don't want to think. We learned how to use labeling to help with each thought by saying thinking, thinking, past, present, future, or labeling it with a feeling word, like worry thoughts, and also like a specific label, like thoughts about my friends, or thoughts about the problem, things like that. And we also learned how we can use our imagination to deal with thoughts we don't want, like imagining them turning into things and floating out, or simply imagining breathing the thoughts out, or using the more powerful thought swapping technique that we just learned. Remember, we can't control what thoughts pop into our heads, but we can control what we do with them. Nice. And remember, the thoughts that will still pop into your head, sometimes that's what they do. Sometimes just over and over. Sometimes the same thought over and over. Keep using your techniques. Eventually, the thought will get a little weaker, a little weaker. It'll kind of give up a little while after a while. Sometimes our thoughts, though, will be super sticky and super hard, and these techniques will not feel powerful enough. They're not strong enough. We haven't practiced them enough yet. So don't worry, that happens. Just keep practicing on the thoughts that are less sticky and less hard. Practice at night when you're trying to sleep. That's the time when I usually do it, or right before a test or something like that. But right before sleep is a good time to do it. Try a bunch of the techniques, see which one helps. You can practice when you're driving in the car with your parents. You can practice in the shower. You can practice when you're taking a walk. But keep on practicing. Practice for a minute, at least 3 times a day if you can. It doesn't have to be a whole minute, but just practice a little bit. And remember, you've got this. You guys can do hard things. It takes practice, and your minds are getting stronger every day with all the lessons we learned on empathy, with all those lessons we learned about thoughts. Man, your mind is getting more and more powerful every day. Man, you're going to be unstoppable. And remember, the more you practice, the more you'll be able to be the boss of your thoughts. Practice a lot. So here's a cool quote to leave you with. You are not your thoughts. You are a person thinking thoughts. So that quote again is, you're not your thoughts. You're a person thinking thoughts. Kind of think on that one for a little bit. Anyway, and remember, practice and practice and practice. And just to end off, we're just going to do one deep belly breath. So put your hand on your belly. Got it ready? And breathe in real deep through your nose. Hold and breathe out. You can imagine breathing a thought out. All right, you guys. Good work. I will see you guys next time. See you later.